was y'all's evaluation of Shedeur in the spring, and sort of how have you seen him develop in the last couple of?
It does not matter. He's not a Pittsburgh Steeler. He plays for the Cleveland Browns. I'll let the Cleveland Browns talk about his evaluation.
But Mike T, it sounded like you didn't want to give Shedeur no credit, bro. It sounded like you wasn't trying to give up no credit, bro.
Forget everything you think you know about press conference diplomacy. Forget the usual coach speak about respecting opponents and tipping caps to the other team. Because what just happened in Pittsburgh might be one of the coldest, most brutal shutdowns we've seen from a head coach all season. Mike Tomlin just torched a reporter for even daring to ask about Shedeur Sanders. Picture this. The press conference room is tense. The Steelers just suffered one of their most embarrassing losses of the season. Reporters are circling like sharks, looking for answers, looking for accountability, looking for any crack in the armor. And then someone asks the question everyone's been thinking about but maybe shouldn't have asked out loud. What was your evaluation of Shedeur last spring, and how have you seen him develop in the last couple of months? It's a fair question, right? The Steelers just lost to a rookie quarterback they allegedly had interest in during the pre-draft process, a rookie quarterback who's now playing for their division rival. Seems reasonable to ask about his development and performance, but Mike Tomlin, he wasn't having any of it.
It does not matter. He's not a Pittsburgh Steeler. He plays for the Cleveland Browns. I'll let the Cleveland Browns talk about his evaluation.
Ice cold. That wasn't just a deflection. That wasn't just standard coach speak. That was a verbal nuclear strike. That was Mike Tomlin drawing a line in the sand and saying, we're not doing this today. We're not doing this ever. And if you ask me again, we're gonna have problems. The tone, the delivery, the absolute finality of that response, it sent shockwaves through that press room and immediately went viral across social media because everyone watching knew exactly what just happened. Mike Tomlin just refused to acknowledge the rookie quarterback who beat him, the rookie quarterback his team passed on, the rookie quarterback who just completely changed Pittsburgh's playoff trajectory. And the internet is losing its mind. The Pittsburgh Steelers are in crisis mode right now, and nobody wants to admit it. They've been cycling through quarterbacks for years trying to recapture that Ben Roethlisberger magic. They brought in Russell Wilson, hoping the veteran leadership and championship pedigree would solve their problems. They drafted Justin Fields, hoping maybe he'd develop into something special in a new system. Neither move has worked out the way they hoped, and during the 2024 draft process, there was legitimate buzz about Pittsburgh's interest in Shedeur Sanders, the Colorado quarterback with the NFL pedigree, son of Deion Sanders, a guy who put up video game numbers in college, a guy with the arm talent, the confidence, and the swagger to potentially be a franchise cornerstone.
You should have drafted Shedeur Sanders, but you didn't, and now you just lost to him. Shedeur Sanders collects his second win as a starter.
But they passed. They decided to roll with their veteran options instead of investing in a young quarterback who needed development. And now that decision is haunting them in the most public way possible. Let's get into what actually happened on the field, because the game itself is what makes Tomlin's response so cutting. The Pittsburgh Steelers scored 0 touchdowns, not one. Not a single trip to the end zone against the Cleveland defense that's been getting torched all season long. The same offense that dropped 29 points on Detroit just last week suddenly couldn't figure out how to cross the goal line. Russell Wilson and this veteran-laden passing attack got completely stifled by a patchwork Browns defense led by coordinator Jim Schwartz, who basically dared Pittsburgh to beat them through the air, and they couldn't do it. Meanwhile, on the other sideline, Shedeur Sanders was orchestrating his second career NFL start with the poise of a seasoned veteran. Now, let's be clear, he wasn't perfect, not even close. There were throws that made you wince. That interception that floated in the air forever? Brutal. That sideline throw that nearly got picked off? Scary. But here's what separates good rookie performances from bad ones. Shedeur didn't lose the game for his team. He made enough plays to sustain drives when it mattered. He managed the clock. He protected the football at crucial moments. He let his defense do their job and didn't put them in impossible situations. That's exactly what you want from a young quarterback in his second start. Don't try to be a hero. Don't force throws. Execute the game plan. Make the layups. Let the team around you win the game. And that's precisely what Shedeur did.
I didn't think we played poorly. We just didn't make enough plays. I thought they played well. I thought the game was kind of unfolding in the way that you would anticipate, but we never made that signature play that kind of got us over the hump.
They played well. That's the extent of acknowledgement Mike Tomlin was willing to give Cleveland after this devastating loss. No specifics about Shedeur's poise, no credit for his decision-making, no acknowledgement of how he managed a game plan designed to exploit Pittsburgh's weaknesses. Just generic, toothless praise that means absolutely nothing. But the analysts and commentators watching this game, they saw something completely different. They saw a Cleveland team execute complementary football at the highest level. They saw an offense that scored early and often enough to build a cushion. They saw a defense that suffocated Russell Wilson in Pittsburgh's passing attack. They saw special teams that executed when it mattered most.
Sometimes it's the defense playing well and the special teams cost us. Sometimes it's the offense that it put my points, but the defense seems to inexplicably give up 150 yards. And so I want people to remember that if you want to be a good football team, games like this are part of winning cultures in football.
Winning cultures. That's what Cleveland demonstrated on Sunday. And Pittsburgh, they showed exactly why they've been stuck in this mediocre middle ground for years now. Good enough to win 9 games, not good enough to actually contend for championships. Talented enough to beat bad teams, not clutch enough to handle adversity when it matters most. The Cleveland game plan was simple and brutally effective. Get ahead early, let the defense pin their ears back and rush the passer, force Russell Wilson into uncomfortable situations, make Pittsburgh one-dimensional, and then let Shedeur manage the game from there without taking unnecessary risks. And it worked. Perfectly. But you won't hear Mike Tomlin acknowledge any of that. Not after that press conference response. He's locked down. He's deflecting. He's refusing to give even an ounce of credit to the rookie who just ended Pittsburgh's division title hopes. And honestly, you can't entirely blame him for the defensive posture. This is Mike Tomlin we're talking about. One of the best coaches in the NFL at controlling narratives and maintaining locker room culture. A guy who's built his entire philosophy around the standard is the standard and refusing to make excuses. When reporters kept pressing about injuries affecting the outcome, Tomlin gave the same response every single time.
You know, we get challenged with the attrition component all the time. We make no excuses regarding that. We got capable men. We adapt, adjust, and we keep moving.
Capable men. Adapt and adjust. Keep moving forward. These are the mantras that have defined Tomlin's tenure in Pittsburgh. Never make excuses. Never throw players under the bus. Never give opponents bulletin board material. But here's the problem with that approach in this specific situation. It makes Tomlin look like he's in denial about what just happened. It makes him look like he's refusing to acknowledge the obvious. It makes him look like he's more concerned with protecting his ego than being honest about his team's performance. The reporters asked legitimate questions. Did not having Darnell Washington affect your short yarders' decision-making? Did missing DK impact the passing game? These are fair questions after an offensive performance that resulted in 0 touchdowns. And Tomlin's responses? Essentially, no excuses, next question. That kind of stoicism works when you win. It projects strength and confidence when you're on top. But when you just got embarrassed by a 3-12 team led by a rookie quarterback, it comes across as stubborn. It comes across as refusing to adapt. It comes across as a coach who's more interested in maintaining his image than addressing the fundamental problems plaguing his team. The internet picked up on this immediately. Social media erupted with criticism of Tomlin's press conference demeanor. Fans called him out for refusing to give Shedeur any credit. Analysts questioned whether his no excuses mentality has become a crutch that prevents necessary self-reflection.
But Mike T, it sounded like you didn't want to give Shedeur no credit, bro. It sounded like you wasn't trying to give up no credit, bro.
That sentiment echoed across every sports platform. Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, everyone was talking about how Mike Tomlin looked like a coach in denial. A coach who couldn't bring himself to acknowledge that maybe, just maybe, the rookie on the other sideline deserved recognition for managing the game effectively. And here's where the story gets even more interesting. There's footage circulating from the post-game interaction on the field between Tomlin and Shedeur. The two shared a brief moment right after the final whistle. Shedeur had a confident smirk on his face, the look of a young player who just beat a legendary coach in a meaningful game. And Tomlin, he gave him dap. He acknowledged him. He told him to stay up, and you know it.
He said something to him at the end right there, man. Mike Tomlin was like, yeah, you know it.
Young man, stay up. You know it.
So on the field, there's respect, there's acknowledgement. There's even what appears to be a veteran coach encouraging a young player who just competed hard and won. But at the podium, complete shutdown. Total deflection, absolute refusal to engage with any questions about the opposing quarterback's performance.
It does not matter. He's not a Pittsburgh Steeler. He plays for the Cleveland Browns. I'll let the Cleveland Browns talk about his evaluation.
The disconnect is jarring, and it raises serious questions about Tomlin's mindset right now. Is he frustrated about the loss? Obviously. Is he disappointed in his team's performance? Absolutely. But is there also some regret about not taking Shedeur when they had the chance? Some frustration about watching a potential franchise quarterback beat them while wearing a division rival's uniform? We'll probably never know the real answer because Mike Tomlin is far too skilled at maintaining his poker face and sticking to his talking points. But that press conference response, the sharpness, the finality, the absolute refusal to even entertain the question, tells you everything about how raw this loss feels. Because let's be brutally honest about what just happened here. This wasn't just a regular season loss. This was an organizational failure on the biggest stage possible. The reality is that this loss exposes every crack in Pittsburgh's foundation right now. The quarterback situation is still unresolved, the offense is inconsistent, the team doesn't respond well to adversity, and most damning of all, they're watching a rookie quarterback they passed on beat them in the most important game of their season. That's the nightmare scenario for any NFL franchise, and Mike Tomlin is living it right now. The questions aren't going away either. Should Pittsburgh have drafted Shedeur? Is Russell Wilson the answer moving forward? Can this team actually compete in the playoffs if they even make it? Is Mike Tomlin's no-excuses approach preventing necessary changes? These are the debates happening across Pittsburgh right now, and Tomlin's icy press conference response only amplified them. When a coach shuts down a question that aggressively, it doesn't make the question go away. It makes people dig deeper. It makes the speculation louder. It validates the concerns that people already had. Mike Tomlin can deflect all he wants. He can stick to his talking points about capable man and making no excuses. He can refuse to acknowledge Shedeur Sanders' performance. But the scoreboard doesn't lie. The standings don't lie. And the reality of what just happened in Pittsburgh is unavoidable. 13-6, 0 touchdowns, must win against Baltimore, and a rookie quarterback walking off your field with a victory. That's Mike Tomlin's reality right now, and no amount of press conference stonewalling is going to change it.